Hello, y'all. I am going to do something called make the best use of your time wisely. So, usually you will hear a little music. However, the internet is down. So, the source where I get my music, I can't play my music. So, I said, you know what? I'm not going to allow that to make me miss video time. So, this video is going to be about who the narcissist really is. And someone doesn't have to always be a narcissist for you to utilize these tactics. I have started a playlist called Emotional Survival Tips. So I am going to put this under emotional survival tips. And this is not to say y'all ain't got common sense or I don't have common sense. However, there are certain practices in my life and there's a certain way of doing things that I can share with you that's prevented a lot of harm in my life. And when I say harm, I received some harmful side effects from not doing these preventative measures. But in some areas, I have found when I look back on certain situations, I actually perfect preventative measures which prevent harm. So I'm going to give you examples, and I'll begin with the first example the ex narcissist that I was with. And I've done other videos explaining um, this particular outburst that this particular narcissist had in his home. Now, what happens is, and I've explained this in another video too, if someone is only coming to your home or you're only going to their home, sometimes you don't really get to know the full person in the way that you should, especially in dating relationships. So, I'm going to give you a prime example. This individual came inside my home for many years. And when I tell you this is no lie, y'all. We never had one argument inside of my home. Never. Not one. Most of the disagreements we had were over the phone. However, this is how the narcissist wants it a lot of times. A lot of times, the narcissist, whether they be male or female, they prefer you not be in their home as much. And what that's doing is stalling you out. They know that they're a demon. They know that they have rages often. So they're also preventing you from knowing the real person. So what happens is you can waste a lot of time that way. You know, you're bringing this person in your home. And a lot of times narcissists going to use an excuse, y'all. Well, I'm going to come to your home more so you can be home with them kids, y'all. You don't need to be leaving the house and leaving them kids at home alone. So I'm going to come to your house. Okay? That's a bunch of bullshit. They want to be in your house. And I don't care if you're a single dad or a single mom. If you're a single dad, you might have been with female narcissists that use the same bullshit tactic. You know, I'm gonna come to your home, honey, because you got the kids and they don't have their mother in their life. So I'm gonna come to your home, honey, and come to find out she got a whole prostitute ring scam going on at her house. She's a assistant and she's helping a drug dealer. I mean, you don't know what this chick got going on in her life. So I always point that out because this is not just gender specific, this is narcissist and empath specific. So, okay, so this narcissist was in my home for several years, many years until I moved. Now, once I moved to the new location, he wasn't allowed in the home. But he moved, and so I went for a visit there, and it wasn't to go there for anything intimate or anything like that. The man kept saying he was lonely. This man was going through a lot. So this is when the behavior and the outbursts happen. So this is the point of this video. So okay, This particular narcissist at my home, no problems. Go to his home, there's a problem. And that's because the narcissist feels like, okay, this is my home and I can control everything in this home. A lot of narcissists don't feel the need to be polite to you when you're at their home because it's theirs. And this is what this narcissist told me. This is my house. I can say and do what the hell I want to do. And this is the narcissist mentality. So they don't have the empathic, hospitable attitude. Like, okay, someone's at my house, they're a guest. I want to be kind to them. Narcissists, some of them don't think like this, especially when they're not faking it. So, okay, who is the real person? If this is a woman and you're going to her house and she acts like a deranged nut at her house, but at your house, she's cool and calm. And if this is a man, when he's at your house, he's on his best behavior, but when you go to his house, he's acting like a deranged nut. So who's the real person? This is the real person, y'all. Easy. It's very easy. But you got to understand the easy answer and know how to act on it. The real person is who they are in whatever environment they're acting aggressive / violent. Even if it's just passive aggressive. If he or she comes to your house and they're all social and acting like they cool, but when you go to their house, they act passive aggressive, rolling their eyes at you, not saying much, acting like they angry with you by making, little subtle comments, devaluation, insulting you, whatever they're doing. The real person is who they are when they're acting out. When they're showing the bad attitude. This is who the real person is. Okay, you may ask, well, okay, how do you just have to come up with that? Why can't they be just having a bad day? And why do I pick that the bad person that they're acting as is the real them? For one, they're a narcissist, so they lack empathy. So you may not realize when you go into somebody's house and they're mean to you, they have no empathy for you. They not considerate that you came to visit their ass. They not considerate for the gifts you done brought. They not considering all the other times you came to visit them throughout the years. They're not considering the times you done came there and gave them a ride when they needed one. They not even considering how you treat the rest of their family, how you speak to everybody. They not considering nothing. So when they're a narcissist or someone that's narcissistic, the real them is how they act when they're acting up in their home. That's the real them, who they acting like when you at their house. That's it. That's them. That's their personality. So what do you do in these situations? What you do is you recognize that. And for some of y'all might have already, for me, I had already stopped my ex-narcissist from coming in my home for several years. That was cut. However, you try to do these, I'm going to call it senior citizen visits. Even if they ain't a senior citizen, I don't care if they're 25 years old acting like this. Call them this. You doing senior citizen visits. And the reason that is because, or the reason I call it that is this. They're like visits. A lot of people have already stopped going to the narcissist's home. You will notice these things a lot of times when the narcissist is this type of person where they come in your home and they act like they on your best behavior or on their best behavior. And the only reason they acting like this, y'all, is because for one, they think you a police caller. Two, you can be an empath, but if you got a little aggressive side, like many empaths do, you got an aggressive side too. If somebody break in this door tonight, come through my door and I have to fight them off, I'm going to try it. I'm going to know when to fight and when not to fight. However, I may try to defend myself. Empaths need to stop acting like they somebody that ain't going to hit somebody, because they do oftentimes. Even if it's in self-defense, you still are hitting someone. Okay? So when the narcissist has reasons, or they're kind of knowing who to not act up with, knowing who house not to act up at. Sometimes they're not acting up at your house because there's other people around, which was oftentimes the case with my ex-narcissist. Usually when he came around, family members were there, but sometimes they weren't. It was both. He never acted up, never got aggressive, never fought me or anything like that. And it's not because he loved me so much, y'all. That has nothing to do with it. It just didn't happen. I was under the Lord's protection. The narcissist made a choice not to act up when he came in my home environment. That was a conscious choice that he made. However, he also made a conscious choice to, at some point, due to his inner anger and problems that he had, he also made a choice to act up at his home. Now, when I say act up at his home, no, I wasn't beat up. I wasn't assaulted. I wasn't shot. However, the reason that didn't happen is because I didn't keep going back to get some of that. And that's why I'm saying this is a preventative measure. Men and women, y'all got to learn to see the first red flags and stop going back. A lot of people have been given many and many of chances, but they just keep going back. You know, they see that the narcissist is acting up. They make excuses. Well, some of them will say, or some people will say, well, okay, he's upset when I go to his house. She's upset when I go to her house. So I'll just keep letting them come to my house because they're calm. And then one day it goes wrong and they shoot you at your own house. Because you got to remember, the true nature of the narcissist is who they are when they're acting out, who they are when they're at their house. In general, when I'm at home, I'm usually at peace. Am I going to lie and say I never have disputes at the house? No. If you got a family, yes, there's disagreements. Do we work towards bettering our lives and behaviors? Yes. However, when you got a bunch of grown people staying in the house together, you have disagreements. However, overall, I would say 90% of my home environment is peaceful. Right, relative? Hello?
Yeah.
What's your opinion? If you had to give a percentage for home peace for the month.
10.
Huh? 10 being bad or good? No, overall, 100%. So out of 100%, 100, if you say 100%, that means your whole month is peaceful.
Oh, 100.
Huh?
100.
Well, my relative is saying 100% of his home life is peaceful. Okay, I'm not going to say that's not a good answer, but I want you to think of some of our rough times in the home, right? What percent do you think our rough times are?
30.
Well, if you think 100 is good, huh?
30.
No, you think first you said 100 is good, right?
Just 30.
So what percent is the bad?
That's at 30.
Yeah, but that's not adding up, son.
He woke me up from my nap, man.
Oh, my relative said I woke him up from his nap. So if you say 100%, okay, I'm gonna just go with your first answer. I'm just trying to be realistic with the answer. My relative said 100% is usually at peace for him. But what I was saying, I was close to 100. I said, what, 90%? So I'm giving 10% as my not so peaceful, rough times. So, okay, family, hello? So if you said, I gave 10% as my rough times in the home, what would you say your percent is? Since you said 100% is good.
30.
But that's too big of a difference, though.
Okay, 60 then.
No, no, you're saying, I'm talking about for the bad. Like 10% out of 100 for me would be the rough times. So if you're saying 100% is good, if you feel like 100% is good, like you said earlier, what is your small percent of the rough times?
I already said 30.
That's, you mean 3?
30. Yeah, 3.
Okay, that would make more sense. Okay, so, and this is a person that's not an expert in math, y'all. So basically, my family member says 3%. He originally said 100% is good. I'm just not going to go with that because I'm not no perfect leader in this home. So it just ain't 100% ain't what it is. I mean, that's him being very generous and nice, y'all. I appreciate that. However, okay, so I'm going to say 10% is what I said because I'm trying to include like my stressors too. Okay, so I'm saying 10% would be the rough times, and then my family member said 3% is, so overall, when we're in our living environment, that's our peace zone. So that's good numbers. I mean, so basically 97% of his life he thinks is peaceful, 90% of my life I think is peaceful. And there's no outside people fighting with us. There ain't a bunch of fights. I mean, like I said, it's a real family, so I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you and be like, oh, we have no problems. That's not realistic. However, at the end of the day, when the narcissist is in their environments, how did I want to word this? Let me word it the best way I can. And I also mentioned, you could try to say, well, okay, I'm going to just bring the narcissist in my environment because that's where the narcissist acts on their best behavior and you end up getting hurt in your environment. So I'm just explaining the comfort zone versus on the other end, over in the narcissist home, you will notice, I mentioned this too, you will notice that people don't come visit them as often, and they're doing, like, I would call them senior citizen visits. I don't care if they're 20 years old. Basically, people stop going to their house because of the angry outbursts, because that's who the narcissist is. They're angry, and they even get angry when people don't come back. They sometimes get depressed. They inviting people over and acting out, and people don't come back. Maybe they son or their daughter will come visit them. Like my ex narcissist would say, my son came over and sat with me for a couple of hours. That's why I call them senior citizen visits. They sat with me for a couple of hours. Like, they ain't really hanging out with their son or daughter. They just sitting with them. And this is even how the narcissist will word it. However, why do the narcissists or psychopaths act up when you're in their environment? For one, they've known you sometimes for a long time. So now they feel like, okay, they can be themselves. They just only can be somebody else for so long. Two, outside stressors. Work, their money ain't coming in right. They're never content with what they got anyway and who's around them. Very ungrateful. Ultimately, when you go into someone's environment and they treat you like that, they're not grateful that you're there. They're also taking you for granted. They think that no matter what they do, you're gonna keep coming back into that environment. So emotional survival tips is, when you're empathic, that no contact stuff, it just doesn't always work. Even if you talk to this, say you got a great aunt or a great uncle that you got issues with and they're not cussing you or nothing like that, You may choose to talk to this person once a year still. You don't talk often, but you do talk. So you deal with them just once a year. And with empaths, it's just hard not to stop. Or it's hard not to talk to people, is what I'm saying. So you just got to remember who the narcissist really is. And you can't adjust it. Like, you can't say, well, okay, they act up at their house, but when they at my house, they don't. So I'll keep letting them come to my house because my house is the spot where the psychopath or narcissist or sociopath is not acting out. However, this is how I will end this message. Remember, emotional survival tips and what I do to prevent a lot of problems that's coming my way. This is how I handle this. I recognize that they acted out and acted a fool at their house, not physically fighting me. Some of y'all have been physically fought too. Okay? Don't matter. Physically fighting you, verbally hollering at you, being rude, looking evil and mean, ungrateful, just cruel. They're just cruel people. How I have dealt with these situations is I don't go back to that environment. They got one time to do that to me in their environment. One big time. That's it. And they are no longer welcomed in my environment. And it's because of this. Eventually, they're going to do it in your home. That's my emotional survival tip. And this is how I prevent violence from outsiders in my home. Yes, an ex-narcissist is an outsider. He's not adopted in the family. I'm not married to him. He's not a blood relative. So that's an outsider. There's no legal paperwork on this person. I ain't got his last name. He ain't got mine. An adoption, that's a real relative. Even if you are a dad and you claimed a child that was not biologically yours, that is now your child. That's a legal, basically you like adopted the child. It's your child. That child, him or her, is yours. So I'm just giving examples so you understand what I mean, because a relative is not always blood related. So as this emotional survival tip that I will be adding in this playlist, this video will be on the playlist. The way you do it, because I use real live examples, you do not allow the narcissist back in your home, even though the narcissist or psychopath does not act up in your home. And the reason you do it this way is because the behavior that you see the psychopath and narcissist do when you go to their house, they gonna eventually do it at your house. I promise to God that they are. It's coming. Now, what did I do? That narcissist and psychopath did not come back to my house because he wasn't allowed. So therefore, he never acted out in my house. I seen how crazy he acted at his own house. I knew that my time was up. I knew that his mask was off. And I knew that he had shown me his nature. And I also knew at some point he was going to act out. I can't tell you the day, hour, and the minute he would do it because I'm not the Lord for real. But I can promise you that he was going to act out. Worst case scenario, that narcissist or psychopath, whether they be male or female, that day, moment, hour, and minute that they act up at your house is the day, hour, and minute that you could be unalived by them. Worst case scenario. Okay, they don't unalive you. You okay with a black eye? You okay with getting punched in the head till you get a concussion? You okay with getting knocked down till you break your knee or something? What are you okay with? So just keep this in mind. The real narcissist is who they are when you're at their home. Doesn't matter that they've never acted up at your home. Eventually it's coming. So that is a preventative measure that I took that has me right here on this video. I've been on this bike almost 25 minutes. Do I miss the narcissist being in my house? No, I don't. For what? It's what do you call it? That term they were saying, you just useless. I think that's crazy stuff was said like in the Color Purple movie where he said you just useless. Somebody in there said that. It was something like that. It's useless. It's a useless activity. I don't miss it. Even though the narcissist did not act out at my house. Of course, a lot of times they ain't acting up at your house because they sitting up sleep in your sofa chair. A lot of times they ain't even woke. They at your house because that's the peace haven where they could get them a good nap. You don't need that neither. You just don't. Who needs that? So this is my video. Sorry there's no music. However, because the internet's down, I wasn't going to stop doing videos just because of music. Just because I don't have no intro or exit music available does not mean that I have to stop doing a video, y'all. Okay? Please like, share, and subscribe. Please leave a comment. Thank you for listening. Bye.